So, about diction in English. The thing with diction in English, on our shows, is this thing that parents are complaining about. Remember, here at Nurture Kid, what we do is we craft our workshops based on certain pain points of the parents that we can deal with. Concerning diction in English, it became a matter of interest to us, and then we began to work on it, and we've come thus far with it. Now, the major problem I hear from parents is the fact that they don't like the sing-song thing that their children seem to be doing. There seems to be a disregard for actual language in favor of this sing-song kind of speech that children are doing. So you see schools not really necessarily interested that whether or not their children are speaking in proper grammar. Instead, they prefer that their children speak in a sing-song manner rather than speak in proper grammar. Yeah, so and parents don't like that. That's one. And then this sing-song thing. Let's talk about it for a minute. How can you speak in a sing-song manner that even the owner of the language doesn't understand? That you properly throw the owner of the language off completely when they listen to you. You have to speak in such a way as to garner the respect of the listener, of whoever it is that listens to you. At least sound educated, sound informed. Now, let's take, for instance, people like Tafawa Balewa, our own Tafawa Balewa. His soul rest in peace. Our own Odumegwu Ojukwu, his soul rest in peace. We have certain people who have certain, indigenous speakers, well-known speakers, people who commanded respect when they spoke. We have Wole Soyinka. Yeah, our very own, homegrown Wole Soyinka. When these people speak, you look again. When these people speak, they command respect. They command respect world over. Do they speak in a sing-song manner? No, to some extent. For some of them, you can even tell that they're Nigerian. You can tell that this person is Nigerian. They still, retain a certain Nigerian twang, which incidentally is popular today, world over. But they speak proper grammar, which comes first. Then they pronounce their words right. And in essence, they have proper diction without that sing-song thing. So that has become a pain point for parents. So we're asking schools. Parents are asking schools. I'm not the one asking. Parents are asking schools. Can we do something about this? Can we go back to the drawing board, and work on this diction thing? We want our children to speak properly, but we don't want them coming home speaking crazy. Take, for instance, some people say, oh, it depends on, some schools will say, oh, it depends on, how the children speak at home. My husband and I were talking about it incidentally the other day, and we said, hey, we learned to speak French at school. Yeah, we learned to speak French at school. I mean, we learned French to some extent at the time that we were in school. But French is not a language we speak at home. Yet we learned it properly. How about our parents who learned to speak English properly from the colonial people, from the colonial, their colonial teachers? They learned to speak English properly. At home, that wasn't what they spoke. You may say it's better to speak a strange language altogether. Then you will speak, and then if you don't know how to speak English at all, then you take on English. Then you speak it. Then there's nobody else speaking the language and muddying it up for you. It's easier for you to learn the proper way, rather than you learn the proper way, then you go back home and someone is speaking the wrong thing. But if we did our bit right at the point in school, if we did our own part properly at school, then you can bring your argument. But if you haven't crossed your T's and dotted your I's properly at school, you cannot throw it back to the parents, because really the children spend a lot more time at school than they spend at home. So is this something we can begin to do something about? Or is it a total no, something we should just not bother? The truth is that we're doing something anyway. We're employing diction teachers. How can we do it differently? Can we come to Nurture Kid? Let's get this conversation started. Starting with the training in diction, and how we can go about it in our schools.